one of my goals has always been to bring science and the paranormal together. Paranormal is just science undiscovered or misunderstood.
Every time I keep asking how good can it get, this prompts the participatory universe to provide us with answers that we genuinely do want to live the answer to.
Hello, my name is Christopher Anatra. You know me as the quantum businessman.
And I say, you know what? I don't need to know where I'm headed. I thought I knew where I was headed before and I didn't end up there. So why worry about where I'm headed? Why not just accept this now moment, trust that whatever guided me here with you guys that I feel is divine is going to continue to guide me.
The content you are about to watch is meant for thought and consideration. Please be respectful of each other and opinions shared. This is a safe place to express thoughts, ideas, and information. Please note that no copyright infringement is intended with regards to inclusion of short excerpts of material that are included in accordance with fair use under Section 107 of the Copyright Act. IMEC, or International Mandela Effect Conference, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization designed to support ongoing Mandela Effect research. To learn more about IMEC, please go to imec.world.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the International Mandela Effect Conference Open Tables, Season 5, Episode 5, Planetary Awakening. We're glad to have everybody with us. I see the chats already filling up over here. It's great to have all you guys here with us, as well as our amazing team we'll bring on shortly. As we see here, Planetary Awakenings in that gorgeous, that golden earth. The golden timeline we're definitely on. But with this golden timeline, it's too much for me to handle by myself, so I've got an amazing team of people that will be joining us, starting with Miss Cynthia Sue Larson of RealityShifters.com. Glad to have you with us, Cynthia.
Glad to be here. Love you guys.
Next, we have Christopher Anatra. You know him as the Quantum Businessman. Welcome, Chris. Glad to see you, my friend.
Hey, everybody.
And last but not least, you guys know him as the unbiased and on the fence. It is Shane Robinson. Hey, Shane. Good to see you, Bubba.
Hello.
And ladies and gentlemen, together we are the International Mandela Effect Conference, as you guys know. And we have one heck of a show for you guys today. So let's go ahead and just jump right in then. This is the Planetary Awakening. We've got a great bit of stuff to go over. We've got the board member updates, of course. We've got the Northern Lights making sounds now. What is that about? Can we pick up radio signals? Is the sun got a radio station? That'd be neat. Planets waking up. Valley of the Planets. Valley of Dreams. King of Kings. A lot of valleys today. Another Uamuamua. Sounds interesting. Fruit of the Loom ME News. Goat Yoga. Whatever that may be. I think we've discussed or mentioned that before, but we're going to go in depth on that. We've got a new color on the spectrum, folks, as well as ice candles. Does anybody remember Andrew Zimmerman or Andrew Zimmern? Well, what do you guys remember? We'll get to that here in a little bit. Weird races, and let me tell you, these are extraordinarily weird. Then our sponsors, our mailbag, and last but not least, our Q&A. And do stick around to the end of the episode, as we do have some important information to go through at the very end of the episode. With that said, let's go ahead and jump to the first slide, board member updates. And we've got, of course, the great Cynthia Sue Larson of RealityShifters.com. How are you doing this month, Miss Cynthia?
Oh, doing pretty well, and focusing on my newsletter this month was about fight, flight, or a third option. And that option would be, you can think of it as freeze at the lowest level, but if you get into the higher vibratory frequency, you get into flow. And so you really do have a different option rather than fighting or fleeing. And this is the year that we need to keep that in mind. We're in 2025. I think we'll be talking about that today. And if you want to get an inside track on what's happening, I'll be at the only live event I'm planning to attend this year, August 22nd through the 24th. Crestone, Colorado, with Paula Harris. She's now doing a Mexican TV show, really amazing stuff, because she's a 40-year researcher in UFOs and extraterrestrials. Also, another experiencer from Paris, France, Julian Chameroy. So it's a very international group of us at the highest elevation. It's kind of like the Himalayas of the United States up in Crestone. You can see snow, and it's at 14,000 feet. And we'll be doing CE5 2 of the 3 days. So you don't want to miss it. If you want to be with me in person and be with people like your soul family, that's the place to be this year. Please join us. So that's my big news. That's about it.
14,000 feet. Wow.
Yeah.
I've been up to 9,000 feet. That's the highest I've been. But that is also, I really want to meet Paula, by the way. I know I keep saying it. I really want to meet Paula. I have really been a huge fan of her research for many, many years. So,
What was the date on that again, Cynthia?
It's August 22nd through the 24th. And it's going to be super cool. Like, where else would you be able to talk freely about all the stuff that we love to talk about?
Enjoy that cool weather there at that high altitude when it's hot everywhere else. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's a perfect place.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's one of the dark sky places in the United States where you can actually see everything without all the light pollution happening.
There's, I think, 12 in the entire world. Sun Valley, where the first conference was in Ketchum, Idaho, that was a dark sky preserve too.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty rare, pretty special place. And it's considered sacred land by the indigenous people, the Hopi and so forth. They consider it one of the sacred places that has made it through all the ending of the world previously. It's like the place to be when you're going through that big transition that we're perhaps headed for.
I may need to look into some property there myself. Next up, we have Mr. Christopher Anatra. You know him as the quantum businessman. How's your month been, Mr. Chris?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, my month has been interesting, feeling lots of changes going on. I think as all of us are, we're going to be talking about that, a little bit more later. I put up the other week a new video on my channel about how a quantum computer really works and how it proves the Mandela Effect, or I use the word verifies the Mandela Effect from the point of view that I put there. It's only a 10-minute video. So if anyone wanted to watch it, it's not what mainstream science says, but it's what I've deduced from how quantum entanglement works, how superposition works, how the timelines work. And I think you guys, when you watch it, you'll find it interesting. I've been reading the comments, and some people had needed to watch it a few times to start to get it. But I think it'll make sense. And to me, it just makes everything fall into line, especially the way the timelines work and the many worlds theory and all of these things that we experience as Mandela effects, and the actual operation, how a quantum computer works, how it has to be like at a certain temperature. I think 1 Kelvin, I think 4 Kelvin is the temperature of outer space. So it's really cold. There can't be any vibration. And to kind of give you like a little spoiler alert, what basically happens is the quantum computer goes quantum, and it actually vibrates into other realities, and it gets its answer in another reality that's already solved the problem, which is, it's very sci-fi sounding, but welcome to the new world, right? We're really entering a sci-fi world where we're beginning to understand what this place is, and it's not what we were taught. So, and I've got some other videos I'm going to be putting out soon. I think they're all pretty interesting. And yeah, that's pretty much the update.
Definitely go check that video out, ladies and gentlemen. That is on the Quantum Businessman YouTube channel, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Definitely something that is incredibly intriguing. And if you ever heard Jordy Rose explain how a quantum computer works back in the day, it's pretty well exactly what he said happened. So
yeah, very similar. I don't know if people actually picked up on what he was saying, but yeah, very similar concept. So exactly. So
definitely, guys, go check that out. Quantum Businessman Christopher Anatra and the How a Quantum Computer Works. Quantum. Next up, we have Shane Robinson of Unbiased and On the Fence. How has your month been, my friend?
Oh, exciting. A lot of exciting changes and doors opening up. And yeah, I can feel a lot of energy that I haven't been feeling in a long time. So I feel like a lot is underway. But of course, you can find me on uotf.net. That links to all of my other stuff. I do plan on doing some traveling up upcoming to Sedona, and I'll be posting some videos with that. So plan on doing a lot more traveling and things like that. So yeah, a lot of exciting things in the future, and just kind of going by the adventure and the excitement, So
That's awesome. Well, we're glad
what about you, buddy?
I appreciate that. We're glad to have you along for the ride, Shane. Again, UOTF.net. I have had an interesting month for sure. Been looking for work mainly. I haven't done really any online stuff. I have made sure that the streaming equipment works as we move to a new location, new studio set up, as you guys can see behind me. So we're getting things put in place to maybe do some solo work later down the road, but I have acquired a new job. So I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the work side of things now, and something a little different than I've been doing most of my life. So definitely a big change this year. There's a lot of changes going on this year, folks, and universe has definitely given me a lot of changes. I've got a new house I'm living in, a new city, everything's fresh, and it's enjoyable. I am going to be going to a theme park this weekend. Me and the family for the first time in a very long time, a local theme park. So going to have a lot of fun this weekend, kick back, relax, maybe have a soda or two, and hang out in the sun. Besides that, I do have some projects I'm working on behind the scenes that are probably about 6 months or so for those to actually get going. But definitely a lot of stuff upcoming. Going to have some extra time in my hands, it looks like, here and there to work on stuff. So mainly just spending time with family and trying to survive. That's been my month. And with that said, folks, that is our board member updates.
Well, there's a group announcement too, if we want to say something.
You want to do that now or wait to the end?
Maybe, yeah. Well, I think now is good. Just
Now
at
is
least, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, each of us has spoken of changes that have come about in our lives. And in 2019, we came together to have the first conference of the International Mandela Effect. And it was just a Mandela Effect conference at that time. Matter of fact, it was called West Coast Mandela Effect Conference at that time.
Yeah.
We came together as a team, as a group of friends who wanted to do something special for a community that we all loved. And we've been doing this for about 5 years now. It's been divinely inspired. Universe has definitely pushed us in very specific and certain directions. But Universe has now notified us that our mission has come to an end and that we will be winding down the 501c3 that is the International Mandela Effect Conference. Now, with that said, we're still going to remain an amazing group of friends who still care deeply and passionately about this community. And we will continue to get together from time to time and do different live streams and things like that. With that said, this will be the final official live stream of the International Mandela Effect Conference as a 501c3 organization. So we will be winding this down and going in different life path directions, it seems like. Universe has definitely been, sorry, I'm trying not to cry. Universe has definitely been very, very helpful, very wonderful, very inspiring to us, has really helped us a lot to better this community, to teach people about the Mandela Effect, to educate the world, if you will. But our mission has come to an end. And as much as we may or may not agree with it or like it, that is the way things are going to be happening. So we will still be around in our individual channels. I'm not giving up, folks. I swear to you, I'm not giving up. Like I said, I've got more projects coming up in the future. But unfortunately, the universe is sending us all in different life path directions at the moment. And the 501c3 will no longer be existent. So I agree, Quantum Healers. It is sad, but we've accomplished our mission. We really have. We've educated the world. We've put information out there, and we've definitely got some attention from a lot of people. So,
and it's kind of like Star Trek. There was a 5-year mission to seek out new life and new civilizations.
I like that.
Yeah, and just like Star Trek, look at how it keeps going, and that's IMEC. So don't worry.
Absolutely.
Don't worry. It's not The Last of Us that you're going to see.
We appreciate our community. We appreciate our audience. You guys have been absolutely incredible, being with us every month, being with us at the conferences, supporting us in every way that you could. And we really, really sincerely appreciate it.
Yes. So I was going to say too, Jerry and Cynthia, do you want to talk about the blind prophet?
Yeah.
This ties in because like we're all going through personal changes. You guys too that are listening to us as well. We all feel that. And then Cynthia and Jerry were talking before we started the show, talking about the blind prophet, and bring everybody up to speed with that.
Okay. Well, it helps me come to terms with what's happening here because if you guys know me and if you've been following my work since the 1990s, then you know that I'm in this for the long haul. You know, Jerry too, the two of us were feeling like, okay, does this really have to rattle apart right now? But the thing is, it sort of does because, we're not pointing fingers at anybody. It's just that we can feel the energy shifting. There is a prophecy, and I'm going to butcher this person's name. There's a blind prophet who lived in the early 1900s. Yeah, go ahead.
Baba Vanga was the name.
Okay. So according to this ancient prophecy, it's not ancient, but within the last 100 years, 2025 was prophesized to be a year when people would be vanishing, and specifically those who were marked by the silence or marked by silence. So we can put that out to you guys. What does that sound like to you? But now, if you follow me again, you know I love doing a meditation of stillness. I think that was it, stillness, excuse me, not silence. So the stillness. And the stillness, if you're doing a meditation, that's a good thing because you come back out of the stillness. But if you're marked by stillness to such a degree that your soul is not progressing, that you're not capable of knowing that you are the creator and the creation, that you're both a physical body and the consciousness running through this dream, this waking illusion, surfing through all the timelines. If you can't do that, then it looks like those people this year may not be with us. And so take it away, Jerry, if you want to riff on that.
It's interesting, Baba Vanga's prophecies about the stillness. It is like we're going to be entering a different world this year in 2025, where things are nowhere near what we've known or what we've known most of our lives, as a matter of fact. Her prophecies about the split remind me of Dolores Cannon's prophecies about the split worlds and the different vibrational frequencies that we have or are vibrating on. That's what will determine where we end up in what reality, if you will, we end up in. If you vibe high, if you're a good, loving, person, you're going to end up in one reality with a lot of people most likely more along your mindset. Whereas if that isn't your thing, you'll end up in a reality most likely along that mindset, whatever that may be. So it's definitely going to be a huge change in reality. And this seems to be the year that it's happening.
That's what's interesting. And then that's on the Prophecy Rock as well. The Hopi Prophecy Rock shows the split of the two timelines. And that predates Dolores Cannon. So I don't know if she was aware of that, but it totally dovetails also. And Shane, did you have something about this that you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say this sort of ties in the Bible and the idea of the rapture even, because it's almost like, well, Dolores was talking about a cell splitting, and we can really see the extremes and sort of how the Bible describes it as the beast or the animal nature of us. Sometimes we act like animals, we act like beasts, or we have the other end of the scale where we are more loving and more empathetic to others. And it's almost like we have such an extreme right now that it's causing the split, and the people that want to live like an animal can go live like an animal more and expand in that reality. But the people that want more loving reality can be over here in this place and experience that. So I think it's really like people going where they resonate the most with, rather than it being sort of this horrible thing. So it's almost like a rapture, depending on which side you're on. It'll look like a rapture of the others, right? You're like, oh, they're just gone. Where did they go?
And back to that Hopi Prophecy Rock, the heads on the line, there's an upper line where they sort of, the people, it fizzles out. That timeline starts off going somewhere and then it vanishes. And those beings, they have little boxy heads that are coming apart. They're coming off of their bodies. So there's like a lifting. It's like they're not attached. Like you might think of it as the NPCs are drawn on the Hopi Prophecy Rock And the NPCs it's like they're not fully soul attached. Maybe they're not at a developmental level to be able to keep staying in relation with the earth, with each other, plants and animals, and spirit. So that's what's required to go through that. I think everybody watching this show, you're fine. So you don't need to worry about this. You're not going to be vanishing if you're into the Mandela Effect.
Speaking of people watching, we've got a lot of love coming from the chat right now. And that really means a lot to us, folks. It really, really does. We love you guys so very much. We've done this for you guys. We've never took a penny to get paid for this. We've always done it out of the love of our hearts for the Mandela Effect and for the community that is the Mandela Effect. So we really appreciate all the kind words in the chat, guys. It really, really does mean a lot to us.
Thank you.
And Heather, too, our amazing producer behind the scenes, Heather. We cannot forget about her. She's the one been throwing the chat up on the screen. She'll be doing our videos today, as always. She keeps us in line, folks. I don't know if you seen the last conference or you read the last conference, you know that's the boss. That's the real boss. She keeps us in line.
Yeah, and Heather's the one, too, that like edits my Quantum Businessman videos. So you guys know she's
amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
So awesome. Yeah.
We do have some pre-recorded things that we will be putting out in the next couple weeks. So this isn't the last time you're going to see us, but this will be our last official live.
Right. As the nonprofit IMEC.
As the nonprofit, yes.
Exactly.
But remember Star Trek. Notice that that's still around. And there you go.
And I would like to circle back to what we were saying about the split, so because a lot of people will feel like, what about my loved ones that don't seem to be awake? Do I have to worry about them? And I think it's just like, it's almost like try again or work on it a little bit longer or whatever. It's not like religion will tell you, well, it's over. You go burn in hell forever. And it's not like that at all, because how are you going to learn or grow if you're just suffering, right? So this isn't about, punishment and suffering. It's about growth and really spiritual evolution,
Yeah, and don't be surprised, like literally, if people just start disappearing, right? Like literally all of a sudden.
Yeah, that actually might happen. I know it sounds really weird, but remember, you guys are watching. I've seen people vanish in front of my eyes. I've written about it in my books. That's 26 years I think I'm a front runner to see this stuff, so that I can tell you it looks weird when I've seen cars vanish. People walking right toward me vanish. It's like I'm walking right between timelines, and more of us are going to be doing that. And I'm telling you, it's normal. I've been living this way for 25 years. It freaks you out the first time or maybe the second time. And then you start feeling like, okay, that happens. And it's just, you're seeing a timeline and then you're in a different timeline. So we're surfing realities. We're creating as we go. It's wonderful when you keep discernment and keep it really clean inside your own space. Just focus on love, honesty, integrity, love, all the highest levels of grace and goodness, and be very discerning. Don't take anything else into your energy field, and it'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
I fully agree. Keep doing what you're doing, folks. If you're doing what you enjoy, that's the important thing. And always lead by universe. That's the best advice I can give. I live my life by universe. I trust universe 110%. It has tore my life down since January, and that's okay, because it's building to something much bigger, much better, much more incredible. And I know that.
And it's giving us all room for growth. So even though IMEC as we know it is coming apart or ending the way we've had it, each of us will be continuing to grow and expand, because we're not NPCs here. We are not.
And we still support one another fully. So
100%. And we support the community too. If you guys have anything you need to talk about or anything like that, always feel free to reach out to us. We're glad to hear from you guys.
Yes.
But with that said, Cynthia, I think we've got one last show to kick.
Let's do it.
So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the first slide of the official show. Northern Lights make sounds? I don't know about you guys, but I only knew them to be, lights. But apparently they do. There even exist sleep meditations that include the sounds of the Northern Lights. See, I would have turned that on and myself and thought, oh, well, they just added sounds to it or something, right? I would not believe that was a real thing. but apparently it is. I think we have some video on this, if I'm not mistaken. If you, Heather, you want to go ahead and roll the clip for us. So definitely had some sound there for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of ethereal, kind of spooky, but
Right, I was gonna say it's almost eerie.
I hear the crickets, and
yeah.
this video isn't showing it as strongly as some of the other ones, but there's like snaps and crackles.
I hear the snaps and crackles.
Yeah, I did too. It almost sounds like a static radio. Here we go.
Yeah, a little bit. Thanks for your patience, guys, because we got a lot of videos today, and they're going to sometimes take a moment to load.
Right. I don't know. It looks like on that side, we are not loaded on this side. We are blank screen, just so you know.
And we can ask the chat if anybody's ever heard the sounds of the Northern Lights. That's new for me.
All right.
No,
so
and actually, I asked Angela, who shares Northern Light pictures with us. She said she's never noticed any of the sounds herself. So
yeah, I think it's new.
So it must be really subtle too, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely hear it in that one. Wow.
I wonder how it differs from.
And you can. I'll be silent. Is this from one of the sleep meditations, I wonder?
Yeah, this might be.
I think this is one from one of the sleep meditations.
Well, let's shut it off before we put our audience to sleep.
But you can find like audio recordings and videos from back in the 90s of these sounds that it makes. And what's interesting, oh, here we go. That's it.
You know,
That is so
it
wild.
kind of reminds me of the astronauts that come around the moon. And I don't think it was the Christmas one. I think that was a different one. But astronauts come around the backside of the moon and they said, "Did you hear that music too? That even sounded like space music."
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder if this is maybe what they were hearing was if it's the energetic particles hitting the moon at the time they were coming around. It's just a thought, but we know these things go back in time too. So. But this is new to me. I've never heard the Northern Lights before.
and this is why it's a Mandela effect for me, because if it was well known that there was a sound and light show with the Northern Lights, it would be the Northern Lights and Sound Show, you know, but instead it was just the Northern Lights.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
That's why this is not us being forgetful. This is not a mistaken memory. You know, I'm just saying, like, no, this is different. Definitely, there's something to this.
Yeah, I was reading some anecdotal people talking about this online, and one of them was saying that when they were a child, they could hear the Northern Lights, and then as they became an adult, they couldn't hear them anymore. So they thought it might have something to do with like our awareness or being more open, or maybe our pineal gland being open, or whatever it is. So that's something to keep in mind too.
Polar Express, anybody?
That makes
sense, right?
That's a great observation, Chris, because I'm hearing from hypnotherapists, lots of, not just the QHHT, but from all types of hypnotherapists. People are just really easily going into hypnosis, and people are super telepathic right now. So definitely there's something to that.
I have noticed that with the people in my immediate life, I have become more than extremely telepathic with a good number of them.
Nice.
So, Omega Spark says the Northern Lights Museum in Anchorage never mentioned sounds. Now, that's interesting. Perhaps it's so new that they didn't know it when when they originally set the museum up.
Wow. See, this is something cool.
But is Earth the only planet that has northern lights?
That's what I remember before this show.
That's what I remember too. Next slide, please. What if I told you that we were wrong? Bear with us. Stand by a moment. Next slide, please. She's a little busy in the background there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There we go. Planets waking up. Planets other than Earth have auroras. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Jupiter's dazzling auroras are hundreds of times brighter than those here on Earth. They were first photographed in 1992 by the Hubble Space Telescope. That in itself to me is a Mandela Effect.
No way.
I feel like I would have heard about that. Right.
No way, bro.
What about
We've
Saturn?
seen the octagon and all
right.
that.
We've heard about the octagon on Saturn, or the pentagon, or whatever shape that is on top of Saturn.
Hexagon.
Yeah.
Hexagon.
There you go.
That's one of the gons. One of those gons is up there. But Saturn auroras were first photographed, Shane, in 1994? No way. How have we not heard about this? I know every one of us here has really been into space and into research involving space and different planets, including myself, and I've never heard of any of these at all.
And the latest, I think Cynthia was telling us
Yes.
about, is about Neptune.
That's right. I just saw that one just fresh this morning. It was too late to get in the show as a picture, but there's absolutely aurora, kind of a northern lights going on the planet Neptune. And it's not even at the pole. I think it's kind of equatorial. So it's going, more around the center of Neptune. And that's completely new. All of these are new: Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune. And then our show's producer, Heather, was telling us today that 4 of the planets, including Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, are all doing something very different right now. These are some of the outermost planets in our solar system, and they're definitely doing something remarkably. We'd expect it to happen. It's expected astronomically, but it's astrologically very significant. So there's a lot of change happening right now. Again, in May 2025, this prophesized year of great change. So big things are happening.
Yeah, and so what causes the auroras? It's all of this energy from the sun that's being dispersed out into the solar system. And I don't know if anyone's been following the coronal hole situation. I thought I just mentioned this too, so that since October of 2024, there's been this coronal hole on the sun that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it passes around, they're noticing it gets bigger. Coronal holes send out solar wind onto the Earth. So we get blanketed. And actually, there's one hitting us around now. So the extra solar wind. So the whole solar system is changing. It's not just our planet, but everything within the solar system appears to be changing as well. So we've got this going on. And then I was curious, what would happen if the sun's corona disappeared? Like, what if that coronal hole keeps growing? I'm not saying that it would, but it's something I never thought of before, because it has continued to grow. What does that mean? And basically, life here on Earth would pretty much be similar. Like, there wouldn't be an end to life or anything, but it would be different. We'd be getting solar winds all the time. And it also would allow more cosmic radiation coming in. And it puts like a different kind of pressure on the heliosphere. So there are all these types of things that are happening. To me, things are getting fast tracked. So we were talking about at the beginning, like the blind prophet and the things she said. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling that by October or somewhere towards the end of this year, there's gonna be a lot going on, and sometimes we will only have an idea what it is until it happens. So stay frosty, everyone.
Wasn't this connected with the galactic energy coming as well? And then it hits the sun, and then it's almost like that weird anomaly we have over the Pacific, or I guess that would be like the Atlantic, where because of our poles shifting, and maybe that's what's going on the sun as well. Like, all this energy just has all the poles ready to flip, and
that's a good
change. and change in that way, maybe.
That's also true. Yeah.
Because they all kind of like mirror each other, you know, like you can see the fractal nature of these weird anomalies there and here and throughout even the whole solar system. All the planets are way brighter, like Venus is way brighter. So you can tell that everything, the energy is all increasing.
Right.
Yeah, and people talk about the galactic current sheet that's coming
Right.
from.
That's what it was called. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, I remember Eileen Colts brought that up at her 2020 talk for IMEC. Yeah.
There's
And then isn't that what Bennett's talking about from Suspicious Observers? Did he change the name? I think he was going to change the name. I don't know if he did. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. He covers a lot more than just this, but yes.
There's also the concept too of the Andromeda galaxy merging with the Milky Way, and there appears to be evidence that the halos of each one have already begun to merge. So things are afoot, people. There's really a lot going on, and it's going faster.
And it does tie in with bringing things down to Earth. It looks like Jerry stepped away, but we can go to the next slide. Yeah, because now we're taking a look at planets on Earth, which is, I've never seen anything like this. This is the Valley of the Planets. And it's, I don't know if it's new to you guys, it's a place in Libya. And it's basically a natural wonder characterized by these rock formations that very much bear a resemblance to celestial bodies. They kind of look like planets. And they're scattered over this wide range, in this valley. And I'll mention to Heather, you can start getting the video set up. It may take a while for these videos today. So as that's queuing up, I'll just say this is new for me. I don't know about you guys in the chat, but I've never heard of a Valley of the Planets. And it seems like the kind of thing I would have seen. It looks so stunning just to see, because I love the idea, like planets. It's kind of like seeing them laid out. I'd be wondering, are they spaced? Are they representing something? Or is this just some weird, random rock formation?
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Is the separation of the worlds, the two timelines. Like
it does. It looks
planet.
Oh, it totally does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is a video that rolls or what.
When you visit this,
here we go. Well, bear with us, technical difficulties. Anyway, the video just kind of gives you a kind of a look at what that valley looks like and how they're spaced out. But you can imagine 30 kilometers.
Welcome. When you visit this valley, you will feel as if you are in space. This area is one of the treasures of the state of Libya in its vast desert. There, in the middle of the desert, is one of the most amazing and mysterious places on the surface of the Earth.
Look how perfect that is. It looks
the
like
Valley of the Planets is a name given by NASA to the place, which is rocks of different sizes that take the shape of planets located in the Van Tikovi Valley. What also distinguishes this valley is that it has a solid rocky floor with no trees or water. The amazing living stones there, a term given to the oldest types of inorganic life, are rock formations that mimic planets in space, and there are other strange formations. For a long time, these strange stones have been a puzzling mystery to scientists because of the processes that occur inside these stones, a situation that modern science has no solution to. Scientists have tried to avoid biological parallels that come to mind in this case, as it would be impossible. These geological formations of unknown origin are fundamentally different from the rest of the rocks on the planet. The idea is that these stones are not like ordinary stones as they appear, but rather they mature and move over the years. These rocks react in much the same way as biological organisms do, even dying when torn apart from the inside out. The amazing occurrence of reproduction in the rocks is something that even skeptics cannot explain, which is why they are referred to as living rocks. Here we are done. Goodbye.
Funny way to end the video. This reminds me, we did talk about the living rocks before, but I don't remember this whole Valley of Planets thing. So it seems like even amongst our own shows, we're seeing something changing. How about you guys?
Yeah, I think it was Romania. I think
Right.
the Trovance of Romania.
Thank you.
Yeah, where they have these rocks that seem to move and reproduce.
And now here we go again, but these are now planets that seem to be reproducing, or like you said, Chris, splitting apart. Maybe it's like showing the timeline idea, and where are they coming from? I mean, the whole thing is very strange. So this is new for me in Libya. I don't know what the chat is saying, but anything interesting there? It's totally new for me.
Yeah, it looks like it's new I don't see anybody here that's seen it before.
And so it seems, go ahead.
I was going to say that one view is just, I don't know, it's mind blowing to see all of them. It's almost like, wow, was this some kind of giant little kid playing with, something? And you know what I mean? It's just crazy. Mm-hmm. And then it almost also reminds me of when something gets really hot and begins to form into spheres, like a molten, I've seen like metal do that before, where it seems to separate into spheres from the extreme heat. So I'm wondering if rock might do that. And maybe that would explain why it's a little darker and discolored compared to where it's sitting, because it appears to be a little bit different color, If we can go back to that slide for a moment. See how it's darker. It looks, if it's made of the same thing it's sitting on, it definitely looks like it got hotter or something,
Yeah. Super weird. Well, the video is super cool because it shows how many of them there are. And they've got this perfect roundness to them, the spherical shape.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it cracks. It looks like it was almost manufactured in a sphere and then it cracked. But then the way some of them are connected, it looks like it happened naturally or through a process.
Have you ever seen the art? There's a sculpture that the Vatican has of this spheroid planet, and then it's kind of split like we just saw in the video, except in the video, it's a natural split. There's an artist that put that thing in the Vatican, which seems kind of creepy because it looks like a machine inside the planet. But it seems like there could, but I like this natural Libyan, Valley of the Planets because it seems like the message is much more natural. It's like nature can do this and you don't need a machine to be running it. This doesn't need to be a machine program. I think there's a deep message in this. And I think Chris is right about looking at the two spheres together and noticing this could be symbolic of like timelines or world splitting. I think that's super cool.
And I like how you've got beyond that, you've got three more there, like they're splitting or different reality, different world, different world, different world. It's really neat in that concept, in that aspect. I like that. This is new to me, by the way. Thank you for your patience, guys. I had to step away for a moment. My grandkids got home. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is definitely new to me. Just the whole Valley of the Planets itself, I've never heard of.
No. And Chris, you were going to say something?
Yeah. So in the video that we watched on this, some of them look like a flying saucer to me.
Yes. That's what I thought too.
Yeah. So, spacecraft flying between the planets.
Yep. And to me, it seems it's like crop circles where something just appears. These seem like they're just sort of appearing like that. I also get that vibe. They don't happen overnight, but they're definitely kind of popping into our reality from somewhere. It seems like from a concept to have that perfect sphere. It's just, I've never seen anything like that in nature normally. Okay, maybe we can go to the next slide, Heather, because we're going from the Valley of the Planets to the Valley of Dreams. And this particular photo is of the King of Wings. I don't know if we have a video or not for this one. I think it was acting up. So maybe we do, maybe we don't.
I think they're all acting up. We'll just have to be patient. You can roll it whenever you want.
If it works, yeah. If it
somebody
works.
mentioned this looking like kind of an axe and a tree stump, like stuck, and I totally can see that are resting on the top. Looks like an axe handle. That's so wild.
It's from the Valley of Dreams, and it's here we go. Let's see if this works. It's pronounced Ashi Slepa.
And this is in New Mexico, I believe.
Yes. So we're kind of zooming in to see where it's located. This is the Valley of Dreams, so it's showing us where we are. And then that King of Wings, I think they're going to zoom in on that maybe. You can see how far in it is. So it's quite a hike if you're walking a Good idea to drive. Bring water. Looks pretty dry. And we don't have sound on the video, but you can still sort of see the location. It's pretty far from any cities or towns.
Yeah, so I had heard about this a couple of years ago, and the context was that what looks like an axe that was resting on a tree stump
Right.
was left over from a giant who had cut down a tree.
Right.
And that was the context that I had first heard about that. But before that, I had never seen images like this or knew anything about that.
When do you remember when you first heard about that?
It was probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
So it sort of popped in along with the giant trees that because I know you've been bringing that up on your channel.
Oh, the plateaus that totally look like they could be these huge cut down tree trunks.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you brought up Devil's. What's it called? Devil's something.
Peak.
What's the famous? Just for the viewers to know.
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So if you look that up, it looks like a gigantic tree stump that's been petrified so long that it's just a rock plateau mountain now. You know.
And it's prominently featured in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, this video goes on and on, but you get the lay of the land that way. You can see the valley and how it's laid out.
I was just trying to get scale. How big is that actually to scale? Does anybody know? Axe handled looking.
The King of Wings.
Like, could someone stand on that, or is it? You know?
I think it's pretty huge.
Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty big. By the way, I wanted to mention too that I saw somebody posted, like when we were showing Valley of the Planets. Someone mentioned the Mokwai marbles from Utah. I had never heard of those before.
I've never heard of that.
And as I was looking them up, they look exactly like that.
What?
Oh, wow.
The word McCoy, M-O-Q-U-I, guess what that is from? That's the original name of the Hopi Indians.
What? Oh, maybe Heather can look this up and show a screenshot for us. Can you type it in the chat? Spell it for Heather.
Yeah, you know what? I'll put the link in the
perfect.
In the chat for Heather.
Even better. Okay. Let's take a look at that. And I'm now wondering if those Utah spheres, if they also are living spheres, like we're hearing about in Libya, that we first heard about in Romania, and now it's in Libya, and now it's in Utah. For me, this is all new. These spheres. I never heard about the ones in Libya, or certainly not Utah.
Now these aren't huge, but they look, when you look at the shape, the individual shapes of them look like what we were looking at the Valley of the Planets.
Oh, what's the scale on this? So you're saying not huge, they're small. Oh, I see. There's a flower, a cacti. So you could hold these in your hand. And they look like they're kind of eggs, like they've got an outer layer to them. They look kind of metallic or something.
And I'll just read one of the paragraphs from that site. It says, the word Mokwai comes from the Hopi tribe. The Hopi were previously known as the Mokwai Indians, named so by the early Spaniards, until their name was officially changed to Hopi in the early 1900s. According to some internet sources, there is a Hopi legend that the Hopi ancestors' spirits returned to Earth in the evenings to play marble games with these items. And that in the mornings, the spirits leave the marbles behind to reassure their relatives that they are happy and content.
Wow.
So these are also popping up out of nowhere, I take it, based on that legend. And it seems like they're, if
That's
it's like
totally the feeling
Libya.
I got when I saw that field of marbles. That's what it looked like. A little kid had been there playing with marbles. Yeah.
So thank you to that viewer in the chat who mentioned that. That's really cool. Thank you. And this does look like an axe, Chris. You're right. Looks like the handle and the blade is resting right on whatever it chopped down.
Oh, that was Jody333. She says, I have a few sets of them. Wow.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you for posting that, Jody.
Yeah, thank you. So let's go to our next slide. And this will be, this is a totally different topic. Another Oumuamua. So this is where astronomers are taking a look and being baffled by an object that seems nearly as mysterious as Oumuamua in Earth orbit. So it's going around the Earth, and it is not a meteoroid. It's not a satellite. And astronomers are agreeing that whatever it is, it's definitely artificial. So we're going to have to roll this video if it works. So we'll just take a look. This still shot, I'm not even sure what we're looking at in the still shot. Like, where is it there? When you do a lot of the dark field photography, sometimes it comes out like reversed images. So the dark spots are the light spots. Oh, Jerry, hi. But we're asking Heather to see if the video can roll.
Gotcha.
Something is orbiting our planet, an orbit that changes constantly and takes whatever this object is out beyond the orbit of the moon. And then it returns, passing within a few hundred kilometers of our atmosphere. It isn't a meteoroid or asteroid, and it isn't a satellite. Scientists don't know what it is, and its orbit is so bizarre that categorizing it, even though it was discovered over 5 years ago, has been virtually impossible. But there are two things that we know about this object. First of all, it bears a great deal of resemblance to the mysterious interstellar object Oumuamua, at least in regards to its behavior. And number two, astronomers agree that this could not possibly be a natural object. It must be artificial. All of this and more coming at you on a very special Angry Alien Bulletin right now.
Well, that's enough.
That is wild. Wow.
Yeah.
It looks even cooler than the Oumuamua one.
So things don't normally change orbit. That's not natural at all. Once you get in a set orbit, unless you add or remove speed, which is usually requires thrusters of some type, you don't change orbit.
Right. Unless there's a collision with another object or something like that, it should be really predictable where it's headed. So it sounds like they can't predict quite where it's going then.
That's what it sounds like. It says it keeps changing course on its own.
Wow.
You know, it also reminds me of all these orbs we keep seeing filmed around the world, like the Bogosphere. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Bogosphere yet, or Bogosphere, whatever it is. It's been captured in South America. Apparently, it was on 2 videos, hit a bunch of power lines, and now they actually, Jaime Maussan has it, and they've been doing all kind of interesting tests on it. And they're kind of determined it's not from this world either, but it makes me wonder if these two are connected.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That sphere that came down. It's got the writing on the top of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And when they pour water, it's like it boils, even though you can hold it. And it's not hot to the touch. Yeah, Maussan. That's the guy that's doing the TV show with Paula Harris.
Oh, wow.
Is it really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's on Maussan TV. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. I have no idea. This is new to me, so it counts as a Mandela effect because they're saying it's been here for how long? More than 5 years, right?
Right. That's
when did you guys first hear of this?
today.
Yeah.
Or, when we started talking about it here.
Right. Same. I've heard about the Bogosphere last week or so, but this one's new to me.
Yeah.
So it was around before the Oumuamua then, because that wasn't over 5 years ago, was it? Or around that same time, right?
2017, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 2017.
Okay. So not
looks
long
like-
after.
Been that long.
It sounds like we got visitors coming in for this big event. It's like our space family is arriving. Like, hey, the big thing's happening in 2025. We're here.
Well,
Yeah.
for years, that's been coming through BQH sessions that, so many people are just showing up almost like it's a stadium and it's just filling up out there, We're just watching us to celebrate our evolution. Like this is this beautiful thing that's about to happen. That's why we put the golden earth on there because we're realizing that, right? We're shifting.
That's today's show, Planetary Awakening. Yeah. And it really feels like that to me. When I read into this, it feels like they're like munching on the popcorn. They're like, hi, guys, doing great.
Sending positive vibes of encouragement and stuff like that.
I get the positive vibes. Yeah. If they're not making fun of us, or they're not, but and they're giving us space. It's like, you guys got this.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to create. You are creators. You're in a physical body, but you're also co-creating this waking dream.
Yeah, and they're rooting for us.
They are. Yeah, I can feel it.
By
Very
the
cool.
way, I was going to say too, for people that don't know what a Mau is,
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, just to kind of give some people like a little bit of an overview, but it was like a cylindrical type object. The global narrative classified it as an asteroid, but it was very much different. Well, there's a few things that made it different. One is that it didn't heat up while it passed by the sun. It was at least 10 times more reflective than any asteroid in our solar system. And the thing that really was unique is that it accelerated coming in and out of the solar system, also changing direction. And also the way it moved, it was cylindrical, but it would like tumble. And they're saying, or it's been speculated that to form gravity, if it was a spacecraft, that tumbling motion is necessary for for it to have internal gravity. So very special object. So yeah, this is what I'm to.
Let's take a look at that if we can take a look at Oumuamua, if there's a picture of it.
So yeah, that was the thing that you were just saying, how it was really long and it was tumbling, but some of the same features is that it seemed to change course and change speed, when if it was natural, it would have kept along the same thing. Right. No, I think we're just wanting to see if we can pull up a Oumuamua. Let's see.
Anybody grab a picture of that?
Yeah, I can. I'll give something to Heather right now.
Okay. Then we can imagine it rolling if it's not a video.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically a website.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, people will see the similarities between this one and the one we just saw. They look really similar. I think that's why it's being compared to that. See, it's sort of this long rock, and it tumbles. So
perfect. Our first interstellar visitor from another part of the galaxy came into our solar system, and like you said, once it got around the sun and past the sun, it changed course, which is absolutely unheard of.
Yeah, course and speed. That's wild.
You need a thrust in space to change course.
Wow.
And that's a rock don't normally tend to have a lot of thrust to it, just saying. So that is Oumuamua. You can imagine it going end over end through space, I guess.
And Omega Spark has a question. Where did it go? Like, where did Oumuamua go?
Well, you can see in the center, it kind of came in, went by the sun, and like flung back out. There's that little map right in the center where it shows its path. So it kind of came in and went back out, but it didn't follow the natural path of an object that would have followed that.
If you can click the third one down on the right-hand side, the other side, that one, perfect. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so this kind of shows the path of where it came in and where it left at.
So it's still kind of hanging around.
It's probably going to come back around again, right? Is this the one coming back around again even? You know, it looks so much like it in the video we watched.
Yeah, they say it came from interstellar space. Mm-hmm. Already like shooting way back out there. So
are they saying that the one that's coming now is just staying in our solar system, orbiting around the sun?
Yeah.
Like, right? Okay.
Yeah, munching the popcorn and just making little adjustments for better viewing.
The one now they said is orbiting Earth. Not just the solar system, but Earth.
It's orbiting Earth.
Yeah, orbiting Earth.
It's like, hello, guys, we're here.
So it must be a lot smaller than this Oumuamua. That's why we didn't notice it.
Yeah. Right.
I got you.
But there's still something there that...
The away team, they came off the Oumuamua, and it's, they're little.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. little scout Oumuamua.
Yeah, the scout on the Earth. It sounds like it. Very cool.
But that is Oumuamua for those who do not know what in particular that one was.
Thank you. So we can go to the next slide, I think, because we've got some big news about the Fruit of the Loom.
So Fruit of the Loom has been one that has been coming up a lot in our community. There's one woman who claimed to found one shirt with it, actually having the cornucopia. And we all remember the cornucopia, right? I don't think there's anybody in this community that's actually in the community that's going to say, no, I don't remember that. I have a feeling everybody is 100 on that one, if nothing else. So those are few and far between, the 100% ones. But there's been a piece of reality residue that has popped up, ladies and gentlemen. I believe this was found over on TikTok, if I'm not mistaken. Time Talks, it looks like, or Tyrion. Yeah. Anyway, reality residue for cornucopia game shows up in a 1991 game. Advertising 2. So, Chris, you did some research into this, yes?
I did, and I think probably the best thing is to let the woman in this picture describe it, because this is like a short video. Maybe it's like 60 seconds, but she actually discovered. She says what her and her husband discovered, and I think it's quite interesting.
Heather, roll that clip.
I are at a vineyard right now, and we decided to, in true millennial fashion, play a game to pass the time. And we found this really old game. It turns out, if you look at the back of the box, it's from 1991. 1991. The very first card that we look at is called Clues. That's the theme. So the idea is that you give your partner the clues, and they have to guess the brand. The first 3 clues right here are underwear, cornucopia, and apples and grapes. Can you guess what the brand is? Can you guess? I know it's backwards, but you can read that. It's Fruit of the Loom. This is from 1991. That proves that there was always a cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo as far back as 1991. There was always a cornucopia.
And a big thank you to Candace for sending that over.
Yeah.
Love you, Candace.
Absolutely. So that's interesting that there's evidence in a 1991 game, of all places, of the cornucopia. Sorry to cut you off, Chris.
Yeah, no, it's all that concept of residue. You know, how does residue get here? Like, how do we find it? And to me, it's just like the parts of the timelines. Like, I talk about the concept of timeline editing and so forth. So as the timelines are merging and coming together, and there perhaps there are other forces that are also merging things into the timeline, sometimes things are missed and things are not exactly perfect the way they would like to imagine it to be. And then you find this residue that makes it seem like, yes, exactly. We all know what we were talking about. We all remember the cornucopia. So although there are many skeptics, as we're going to talk about on the next slide, many skeptics, to me, this is a big deal. And what I actually did is I went on eBay, and on eBay, they sell the replacement cards for this game called Advertising 2. So I have actually bought the replacement cards. They haven't come in yet. But I want to hold this thing I want to see one of these cards. I want to hold it in my hand. And I want to see that cornucopia as one of the clues. And I think everybody that's watching this would have guessed immediately Fruit of the Loom, especially as soon as you say cornucopia and underwear and apples and grapes. You know, it's so obvious.
And for those that say, well, they just made a mistake, they just thought it was there. Well, it's funny that they made the same mistake that we all remember being. I don't buy that one from the skeptics at all.
No.
Speaking of the skeptics, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever been watching a channel, a person that you really like, person whose stuff you actually trust? Then they do a video and you're like, man, this person has no clue what they're talking about. That happened to me this week. It really baffled me. I guess they say don't meet your heroes, right? The same thing. Go ahead and pull the next slide up, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is named Mandanimals, and he's known for going after the flat earthers. And I usually am like really on board with this guy and everything he says. But then he thought he was going to go after the Mandela Effect community. And I realized he just has no idea what he's talking about. He needs to stick to the flat earthers. So he can't believe that we even exist, the Mandela Effect conference. I can't believe that's a thing. Oh my goodness. He is very ecstatic about this. And he went back to our 2024 keynotes. It says 2019 keynote. It was actually last year's keynote.
Yeah.
And he starts really picking on Liz and Bill really bad about their talk. Now, that's the only one that he touched. He didn't dare mess with anybody else, including us specifically. But he was baffled that we would even come together to create this organization. And he can't believe that the Mandela Effect exists. He says, I've got no issue with the Mandela Effect as a thing. It's all misremembering. That's all. It's just misremembering. He goes on, ladies and gentlemen, to use the fruit of the loom as an example and goes to the Logopedia and says, oh, guys, look, see, their logos never had it. See, they're wrong. This guy has no idea how the Mandela Effect operates, what the Mandela Effect is, or anything of that nature. I'm falling shy of calling him names because I don't want to do that. I'm truly trying my best not to do that. But I'm sure you guys can imagine what I'm thinking. He has no clue what he's doing. It was really unfortunate because, like I said, I liked this guy's work. I will never watch another video this guy ever puts out, ever.
I think B Real Tutu kind of pointed it out pretty succinctly. Thank you for that comment. He isn't awake, so
Yeah.
I think it's just, people wake up at different times, and I know a lot of my family members that gave me grief before are starting to come around. So, if you just kind of let people kind of wake up on their own timing, it's okay. It just kind of sucks if they have a platform like this. But I even in the comments, you can see people like, hey, I remember the cornucopia. What are you talking about? So, people that remember, and it's like we've all been presented with the opportunity to see, but we're not made to see it. You know what I mean? So
this gets into 2025. The ones who are not changing and not growing, that's the prophecy about they might be vanishing. So it's like the timelines are splitting. It looks like we're hitting a time when if you see these things changing, then you're going to keep seeing them changing. So maybe we're not going to see a lot more of these kinds of Mandan. But right now, he's got a huge following, a lot of people watching the channel, and a lot of people chiming in that he is right about this being collective misremembering instead of what we propose, which is collective alternate memories. And we're acknowledging that, yes, we do remember that there was a cornucopia. Now it looks like there isn't, but we do remember it. So we're changing, we're growing. And so I just want to put that out there. If people are feeling like, it's better just to stay in that little tiny neat ball and call it misremembering. If you're noticing things changing, start trusting your memory, because that means you're able, like a quantum computer, like Chris's new video shows, we can use our minds even with more facility than any quantum computer. Those are just technologies. The technologies are part of the human culture. We're much more than any machine. And so we're capable, we're made to do this. And right now, Mandan is not seeing it. On my channel, which has been around on YouTube since 2009 or 2000, I forget when, something like that. I've had enough time for people to comment skeptically saying, this is malarkey, it's garbage, this doesn't happen, you're misremembering. And then sheepishly, like 10 or 15 years later, they come back and say, oops, I'm sorry I ever said that. I am seeing things change. So it really is experiential. And it's like falling in love. You might see romantic movies and think that's hogwash. That never happens. But then you fall in love, like, oh, I get it now. So it's an experience. And I think Mandan, to his credit, or whatever, he just hasn't experienced it. Not yet.
I thought for a while when I first got into the research, what if it is that simple? Until my first flip-flop. If you have ever experienced a flip-flop, you'll know 100% it cannot be misremembering. It just absolutely cannot be. You can't be wrong on both sides of it.
And the other thing that I like to point out, because sometimes when we have Mandela effects that we just aren't sure if we just missed it, like the Rainbow Mountains. That's another way that it gives you that effect, like the flip-flops, because like when I saw the Rainbow Mountains, they were just in China, and then I went to show somebody a few weeks later and they were in like 3 more locations. So that was another instance like a flip-flop where you looked at it hard enough that it changes again and you can see the differences, because you considered so much in the beginning when you're like, could I have just missed this? Or the Rainbow Mountains, you would think that would be on the cover of a social studies book. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have missed that, but still you have to question, like, maybe I did just miss it, but when you see it popping up differently than it did a month before, that like reality is actually shifting like all the time.
Then you've got channels like Eva. Sorry, just 1 second, Cynthia. You've got channels like Eva's Once Upon a Timeline who have been recording these changes and multiple changes to items, and specifically the Statue of Liberty, for instance, among others, across a long period of time. And we've watched these incremental changes happen over and over and over. We're all looking at it. We all see the same thing. The next week is completely different. She's done a really good job of pointing these out over time every week. So that's another example of that. Go ahead, Cynthia. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to say that in addition to the anchor memories, trusting your memories and knowing, like, I know for sure it was the cornucopia, because Liz Larson at the Nashville conference in 2024, she was our keynote along with Bill McKenna. And she was saying she'd used the cornucopia to do artwork that she was creating, using it as something as a template so she could copy the idea. And anyway, so that's one way to do it. And then, like you mentioned, Jerry, obviously, if you get a flip-flop, that's a big deal. Then you know for sure it really changed twice, in fact, or more. And thirdly, like we just saw a moment ago with the advertising game and the millennial game from 1991 showing cornucopia as a clue for the Fruit of the Loom logo. That's called reality residue, and that's a third way. So we've got lots of ways to know for sure, like the anchor memory, the flip-flop, the reality residue. And so with Fruit of the Loom, there's a very solid case for it. And even the company itself has to respond to the volume of email and communications they get on social media. So they've been playful in social media posts with the community. Yeah.
They've really been lighthearted about it. They have. One thing that I think Dan does is he's a materialist and a scientism person, not a science person. So that doesn't help him any of these because materialism says this can't happen. Right. Which they're wrong.
Even some of the comments were like, she has to be lying about using it as a template, just because that would have to be true if you're coming from that grit perspective, you know what I mean? I'm talking about on sci-fi or Mandan's comments. Yeah. But other people, they totally see, they're like, I remember it. And people, like, how many people out there thought a loom was a cornucopia? Because I thought, oh, Fruit of the Loom, that must be the loom, right? But yeah, I didn't even know the name of it, but I knew that's what it was there.
Another point, Cynthia, that we don't mention a whole lot that gets overlooked, and it's kind of an obvious one, is why do we all remember the same things the exact same way?
Yeah.
No one said Berenstein was EEN or EE or EYN or YYN or any other variation. They always say it was EEN.
Yeah, why not the Bernie bears or the brown bears or
Right. Or why not the fruit be on a plate or in a basket?
Exactly what I was about to say, Shane.
They did that in that one scientific test too, where they checked people to see if they remembered something else.
The VME test.
Yeah.
In Chicago, yes, sir. So, that's another important piece of evidence. The fact that everybody misremembers it the exact same way. If memory is individual, and we all record memories based on our environment, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, all these different aspects, then there's no way that we all recorded the exact same wrong thing, the exact same way. And it just don't work.
I agree. So we don't need to play this video, right, Chris? We can skip that.
No, we don't. Like, if you find the video on his channel and you watch it, very derogatory. I had never heard of the guy before. I didn't know who he was. Not a kind person at all. And even a lot of the comments were just like, these are crazy people, blah, blah, blah. It was like very, very derogatory. But I did notice that around the beginning when this video posted, which I think might have been a couple of months ago, we got a little uptick in subscribers. So I'm wondering, like, if people that were watching it were like, wait, I remember a cornucopia.
Definitely.
And if you want to like start to identify like who's who in the Earth game, because as you guys know, I think of this, the whole concept to me is that this is a game, they're games within games, pocket universes, etc. This, like, he gives off the true NPC feeling. So yeah, paid agent, NPC, he's there to support, whatever the global narrative wants him to, whether it's about flat Earth, Mandela Effects, all these things that us, as we are awakening, I'll use that concept, awakening, remembering, Totally against that. So he would be against that, and that makes sense. So yeah, I don't think anyone needs to watch it unless you wanna laugh.
No.
Or you want to feel bad.
Or get angry if you're
Or get angry.
Yeah, because
it triggered anger in me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it really, really triggered me, especially considering I liked the guy, right? Like, I followed his work before. I thought he was spot on a lot of things he said. Then he made that video, and I realized, no, you just, I'm not gonna finish that sentence. Cynthia, you have had experience with the Mandela Effect for many, many more years than before it was actually named the Mandela Effect. You've been following this research a long time.
Right.
You have seen examples, I'm sure, where people have been like this and have come crawling back with their tail between their legs. Does that happen?
Absolutely. Yeah, I get comments about that. People email me about that. I've seen it on my YouTube channel, so which has been there since I think maybe 2009. So it's been a long time. Yeah, and definitely. Yep. So it's possible that at some point he might come around. Even if he doesn't, other people that are watching and making fun of the Mandela Effect right now, it's just the fact that they're paying attention to the Mandela Effect. All they next need to do is be open-minded, and it's quite entirely likely that they'll experience it.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We are the new UFO community. Those guys had so many detractors and skeptics, and people would call them nuts and tinfoil hatters. They really took the brunt of it before we come along. So we are that new community. I expect things like this. It triggers me, don't get me wrong. But that means we're over a target. That means we're doing something right. I expect skeptics like that. Just not this guy. It really, really hurt me that it was this guy.
Let's go to the next slide then. Let's get rid of his face.
Yeah, what are you triggering again? Let's move.
Let's go to something cute, something fun. How about goats?
That would be real. So watch him be Dark Wolf's biggest fan next week. Goat yoga. Chris, I think you brought this up a couple months ago. I remember hearing about this.
Yeah. So the other month, my oldest son's girlfriend was saying that for her birthday, she was going to go to goat yoga. And I was like, what is goat yoga? Because I used to do yoga. I did Bikram yoga for years. Like, I had heard about different types of yoga, but for myself, I never heard of goat yoga. And she was explaining to me, you don't know goat yoga? Like, you do yoga with goats. And I'm like, okay. And I looked it up, and I had never heard of this craze that's been around, since 2018 at least. You can find videos of people doing yoga with goats. So I don't know if this is new for anyone else, but it was certainly new for me.
Definitely new for me. And you brought up earlier, it's not just goats anymore, right?
Yeah, it's cats and dogs and other, but what's interesting about this, we've got a video link, so maybe we can play that, roll the video or get it started, because this has been around for at least 8 years, and this is new to me. The first I've heard of it was 2025. I sure didn't hear about it back to 2018.
Find new ways to exercise and stay in shape. A farm in New Hampshire is offering a very different experience. Yoga with goats. It's catching on, and the farm owner says they are scrambling to try to keep up with this viral sensation.
If heaven were a place on earth, it might look a little like Jeunesse Farm in Nottingham, New Hampshire, where the welcoming committee consists of a friendly turkey named Cricket, and where goats and yogis coexist in perfect harmony.
So finding some calm.
Yoga with goats is a new offering at the farm.
Hear the patter of little footsteps around us.
And it's certainly a one-of-a-kind experience.
I've done yoga a few times, but it was nothing like this.
If you have a goat on your back, you can stay right in tabletop.
It's gone viral.
Farm owner Peter Corriveau says they just started classes a week ago. Now they're booked till June.
You know, who doesn't love baby goats? There's nothing cuter than a baby goat. Just something about them, their nature.
It's a simple idea, really. Goats and people doing yoga together. It's actually hard to tell who's enjoying it more. Instructor Janine Bebo says it's not just the legs and the abs getting a workout.
I left class last week and my face was sore from smiling so much.
These yogis agree.
You can't help but laugh. You can't help it. The laughing and the smiling just comes along with it.
There's so much more to this practice than the downward facing goat. The back massages and the snuggles, they're an added bonus.
I would definitely recommend this and I can't wait to come back.
I was laughing.
Now, I can understand if this just happened last year, a couple months ago. 8 years ago?
That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to try something interesting, just go to Google and type in goat yoga near me and find out all the places. Like in Connecticut, there are all these places that do goat yoga. I'm like, what the heck?
And yeah, why? I don't know if the people in the chat have heard about this, but it's totally new.
Apparently, there's a couple around here too.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, about 9 or 10 of them around here. Holy cow. I'm going to do some goat yoga soon, folks. There's one literally right up the road from me.
Wow. Yeah.
You're kidding me. Less than 3 miles up the road, there's a goat yoga place. Wow, Chris, I would have never even thought to do that. I'm glad you mentioned it.
It's super fascinating. It's super fascinating. Goats.
But apparently people are... Go ahead, Chris, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say goats and how they play into the reality is super fascinating.
Yeah. And
it's expanded dogs, cats, all kind of creatures now.
But there is something about the significance of goats. We've looked at their eye shape and they're herd animals, of course, which we'll be talking more about that in this show.
Did you guys see the peacock there?
Maybe go to the next slide. Next slide.
Did you see the peacock that was in the news video, though? I think we got him right here.
Good segue.
I was working on it. New colors. So this fascinates me, ladies and gentlemen. For those that haven't heard, UC Berkeley scientists created a new platform called Oz. This directly controls up to 1,000 photoreceptors in your eye at once, in the human eye, tricking the eye into seeing images, videos, and a brand new color, Olo. And this is a profoundly saturated peacock green. So this has only been done through this device, this Oz device, in certain subjects. It is my belief, Cynthia, that we're going to see a 100th monkey effect with this, and I truly believe that we're all going to start seeing this color. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think the technology is making it accessible. Like in last month's open tables, we talked about stimulating the brain in a certain way to shut down a blockage that all of our brains possess in the left prefrontal cortex. And when that's shut down, then everybody becomes psychokinetic, and you can start moving a cursor with your mind, and you don't even need the Neuralink chip. And I agree with you, Jerry. I think if we roll the clip on this one, you'll see that right now we see the color using a certain technology. Absolutely, Jerry. I think we're opening ourselves up to new abilities. So Heather, if you're able to roll the
participants
video,
in this study. So tell us about that, and can you describe to us what you saw?
It's a beautiful color. It's really fun to look at because it's just so incredibly intense, saturated, brilliant. It looks like a peacock blue green, so I can name it. And we wanted to be really sure that it was indeed a color that is outside the natural human gamut. So what we did was enable subjects like myself to dial up any color that we want to see in the rainbow and to vary it from something that is very close to white through to something that is the most saturated color that you can see of that hue. And that would be a laser light of that wavelength. And what I found was that I had to dial up the teal wavelength, and it looked like a brilliant blue-green. But Olo was so much more saturated that the laser teal, it paled in comparison.
Your findings were published in the Journal of Science Advances on Friday. Some experts, though, they say that the new perceived colour is a matter of interpretation. So what do you understand their caution to be here, and how do you respond to that?
Look, I think it makes perfect sense to say that, well, if you can call a color blue-green, then obviously you can still name it. So I think there's an important semantic question there. But let me try to give you a sort of and folks that are listening in, a sense of how large a change that felt like. To me, it felt like, as if, now this is an analogy, but if you went around the world and your whole life, you just ever saw a cream as the most saturated yellow you could see. So a very pale yellow. And then one day, for the first time, you chance upon a daffodil and you're just floored by how much more saturated yellow could be. That's what it felt like to me, okay? So I think one wouldn't say that's the most saturated cream I've ever seen. You'd want to give it a new name, and that's what we did here. But I hear them on that, and that is it really a new color if you can still call it teal or blue-green? Some of the other things they were interested in with this OzVision system are to try to see, for example, whether we can enable a red-green colorblind person to see red and green for the first time. And if we're able, so imagine that, right? You go around your whole life. Oh, if you're red-green, vision scientists really think that you perceive the whole world in shades of blue and yellow. And if you imagine what it would be like to go around the world and see only blue and yellow, but one day see all the remaining colors of the rainbow for the first time, that's a kind of color novelty that we're studying right now as well.
This is super cool, I think, because it does seem like we're opening up access to the super saturated colors that I get sometimes in meditation or astral travel. When I'm doing a lot of the work I do where I'm just tuning into things that are not in this physical reality, but to me, they're the creative basis, the foundation for what is the physical reality. And I do see those saturated colors. So maybe we're going to start seeing them in our daily lives and in the world. And that would be so amazing. That to me, I'm getting goosebumps. It feels like this is what the show is about today. Planetary awakening, the golden age, like it's coming. So I feel like this is another great indicator. And we want to give special shout out and thanks to Sherry, overprotected, or you might know her as Bella. She's the one that sent this to us. So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too, so these types of colors, I've seen them also, but in a different way. So there's this device called the Lucia light. Lucia. Lucia means light in Italian. And when I've gone under that, there's hundreds of like programs you could run for how much the light flashes. And it's just regular white light, but it flashes in a certain sequence and you close your eyes. I have seen such brilliant fluorescent colors. It's hard to even describe. So yeah, and what's causing that is that your pineal gland beginning to awaken and your third eye beginning to see these different things. So for someone that has experienced it, like how do you describe these colors? Whether it's a vibrant purple or whatever it is, but the colors are vibrant. That's the best way to describe it.
I can back Chris on this, having used the Lucia machine while I was visiting Connecticut and at his house. Very, very vibrant colors, very bright, brilliant colors that I probably would never see in nature, honestly, like on general. Chris, I think that's about the best way I could describe it to would be vibrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your eyes are closed when you're under snow. It's not like you're looking at flashing lights. That's not at all. So your eyes are closed, but it's penetrating through, and yeah, you're seeing that. Your third eye is like, whoa.
Yeah, I get that directly, and I feel like that is the true reality. And I think we're so limited with our physical bodies. We're just sort of squeezed into this narrow range of all of our perceptual, ranges, red through violet spectrum. It's not the full spectrum. And I think, I'm so glad that we've got technologies that make it available to people so they can start feeling it and experiencing it more and more.
Absolutely. New colors showing up as part of the predictions and prophecies for 2025, says Omega.
Oh, cool.
So that's pretty fascinating. Again, my prediction is we're going to start seeing this as humans on a full basis. We're going to start seeing it in places, a color that we didn't even know was there. We're probably going to start calling it a Mandela Effect. Wait, that was never that color. It didn't have that color in it. where'd that come from? How can I see this now? Like, I really think that's down the pike myself. And I'm glad you agree with me on that, Cynthia. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, speaking of strange things, maybe we should go to the next slide. Things we've never seen before.
Ice candles or rotten ice. Can you light an ice candle? Is that a thing?
We got to see the video on this one.
This one we got 2 clips, so there's
Definitely got to see the videos, yes. And it may take a moment on these. I think these are the ones that are okay.
Oh, nice. This is up in Canada, and I've never seen anything like that. I don't know about you guys, or
I've seen ice slivers, not quite to that degree, like an ice lake.
Now we've got another video. I don't know if it's going to work, but if it does, they're both real short, I think.
If it does, I'm sure she will let us.
Yeah. But this one's totally a Mandela effect for me because I've never heard of an ice candle or candle ice, whichever way you want to put it.
This week, we have a question from Amanda Simon. Check out this video, Michelle. She wants to know, why does the ice look like this as it's melting? It looks like little pillars. You can see as she holds it up to the camera there. She's even grabbing huge chunks of the ice and breaking it apart. As the ice is held up, you can see that it's a bunch of pillars, all equal length, but different sizes and different shapes, but it just snaps apart. So I do have the answer for you here.
Okay.
This is apparently called candle ice. It's also known as rotten ice, which doesn't sound as nice.
Yeah.
But candle ice happens when there's impurities around the ice crystals. It happens usually with lake ice, sea ice, and ice rinks like we saw there. And what happens is the sun starts to melt it in an irregular pattern, and it just continues on through the layer.
There you go. Makes sense.
Very cool.
Appreciate that, Heather. So yeah, as she just said, it happens when there are impurities in the ice and it starts to melt. I've seen ice slivers, don't get me wrong, but I've never seen little bundled up candles like that. That's new to me.
Yeah, and if you kind of break down what they were talking about in those 2 newscasts, they were explaining it because the people that saw it didn't know what it was. So to me, that's also an example of a classic Mandela effect. Because what is it? If people saw that their whole life, they would be like, "Oh, that's ice candles. That's candle ice. We all know what that is."
We all grew up with that. Yeah.
And I think, they talk about impurities in the water and the ice and so forth. I think a lot of it has to do with the sun and how the energy and how the electrons are flowing in and so forth. So I think the sun is actually having an effect on that. So new for me.
Yeah, very new.
Absolutely. I second that. Absolutely new for me. And to that degree. Like I said, I've seen the slivers, but nothing like that.
And if there's any kind of a spiritual, like read into the signs and signals of this, read it like a dream. I think the impurity thing is interesting because, as I was saying earlier, if you want to go smoothly into 2025 and just groove through it, stay in that flow, don't get into fight or flight. Just keep the impurities out of your energy fields. Don't take anything negative into yourself. And notice that they're saying that it's where the impurities are that it splits apart. It's like you've got your own little world that's free from those impurities. And I think it's breaking right where the impurities are. So it's kind of like pushing the impurities out, and then they form the crystalline lattice around it. Very interesting.
Definitely fascinating. Definitely something new to me.
Mm-hmm.
So Shari D over in the chat, glad to see you, Shari, says, they came to my world around pandemic time, and it was just called spiked ice. So the name is new.
Interesting.
So that's interesting. She had heard of it, but not called ice candles. Speaking of new names, let's go on to the next slide, please.
Good.
This isn't exactly a new per se. We haven't covered it yet. This is kind of an old one, honestly. But I remember Andrew Zimmerman, the food guy, used to go to all these different countries, try foods of different types. However, I remember a guy that never existed. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah. So this was like you guys have heard of this before. I had never heard of this name change, and someone that watches my channel brought this to my attention. but it's pretty drastic when you go from Zimmerman to Zimmern. That's like right there in your face. You know, the other one, who's the other famous one? Oh, David Wilcox went to David Wilcock, you know, but there's countless examples of the name changes. So this one was super fascinating. And then when you start to find out about this guy, like, you know, he eats, like Jerry was saying, all these different kinds of foods and like bizarre foods. In this particular clip here, he talks about he wants to taste a human. He should just have a pork chop and he'll understand what he tastes like, or bacon. That's another story. I'll leave that out of this show. But yeah, so, you know, I think that this would even catch people that aren't into the Mandela effect. Like, what's happening here? Like, to me, I would be like, oh, he must have changed his name. That's the only way you could piece this together, like with a logical mind. But then when you trace it out, he's always been the Zimmern. He's never been Zimmerman. So.
Yeah, I remember watching Andrew Zimmerman's Bizarre Foods and whatnot. We'd go to all these different countries and try foods that you and I would probably be like, oh, God, no. So definitely a name change for me. And when I first saw it, I thought, well, maybe I just misremembered. Maybe I'm wrong about this one, because I'm not going to say that we're human. We do misremember some things. I'm not going to pretend we don't. Mandela Effect's not mismemory. I want to be very clear. But I'm still human. I still accidentally misremember here and there. Well, maybe I just then I heard the community start talking about it, and I knew it was not just me. That's where this community helps a lot. If you have one that you just ain't saying to anybody, you think maybe it's just you, and the community starts talking about it, you know it ain't just you at that point, right?
It's funny, Omega Spark says, send him to KFC. With extra gravy. Drink the gravy.
Just don't swim in it, you might become the chicken.
Yeah.
But Andrew Zimmerman is one, like the audience is saying, it is kind of an older one, but it's one that we have failed to touch here. So we wanted to make sure we did include that one. Still fascinating how someone's name can change, right? Their surname, who they've been their entire life, their identity itself is changing. It's fascinating to me. And a little bit weird. Speaking of weird, next slide, please. Weird races. So, have you ever heard of racing a buffalo?
Not till this show. I've never, and I didn't know a buffalo could win a race with like a racehorse.
Hey, Chris, want to play some bets on some ostrich races?
Yeah, a few years ago in one of my Symphony of Realities episodes, I covered the ostrich racing and zebra racing, which totally blew me away that it was a thing, at least on a limited scale. And then to hear about the buffalo, that, like, I had never heard of that. And I was doing research into all these different, like, unique animals that they would race, like a horse race, where you could actually bet money and win money or probably lose money. So this is totally new about how they're racing these. They're considered herd animals, and the way that herd animals stay with the herd, there's usually a leader, and they all follow the leader, so to speak. So these are also funny to watch because a lot of times, like, the zebras are trying to figure out who the leader is, and they're wandering away, and usually eventually there's a winner. So it's the same type of thing with ostriches. Like, even ostriches being in the flocks, I always thought that ostriches were more single, or they'd have a partner and that'd be about it. But there's actually flocks of ostriches, and they don't put their head in the sand anymore. Like, there's this saying about how, like, put your head in the sand like an ostrich. Yeah. Now what they do is, as a protective thing, they just fall over and play dead. And, like, I never heard of that either. So now we've got racing buffaloes. So this is totally new.
The Buffalo Harvey Wolbinger won 52 out of 60 races against horses.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
And those are like race horses, horses that race professionally. Maybe we could roll one of the clips, the first one, see if that works. one of these will be the buffalo and the other one's the ostrich race. So if we get
the fun part's when they're around the corner. That's my favorite part of this. Oh, okay, here we go. If we can get to the corner, that's my favorite part.
Is that in Kentucky Downs?
Well, I think we know who's losing so far.
It's gonna be the slowest race in history. This is like those horse races at the casinos where it's like throng, and they're like barely moving around this little plastic track.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
I'm going to be a bumpy ride.
You are reminded the next race is an exhibition. There is no wagering. No wagering in the next race.
And Heather, if you go to
Wallbanger
like 3 minutes in
against
this one.
quarter horse exhibition.
Yeah, that's a starting gate.
Tim Johnson in the one in second and Scott Bergsrud third. Harvey Wallbanger on the inside. Johnson and Bergsrud on the outside. At the wire, it is Harvey Wallbanger.
Wow. 1990.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
The stewards have called for a photo finish. The results of the exhibition race, it's a photo. We'll have the results as soon as the photo print is developed, and the stewards have studied the photo. Results of the exhibition race of photo finish. His lifetime record now is 53 wins out of 61 starts.
Wow.
Holy cow. So that was after that information is 53 out of 61.
That was a more recent race, yeah. So he's just, that's...
Holy cow.
What a buffalo. I mean, I didn't know they could move so fast and had no idea they were racing. So this whole thing is new to me, buffalo racing. And it's been around for a long time. But
It seems like I've seen ostrich racing in like a cartoon as a kid, as a joke, more so than real.
Right.
I would have never guessed if somebody would ask me if that was a real thing. I told them they were crazy. I would have never guessed that was actually a thing. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Weird races, buffaloes, ostriches, zebras are now racing along with the horses. Yeah, it brings a whole new meaning to buffalo wings.
For sure.
Sticking with our animal theme, let's go on to the next slide, please.
And these now we're getting to our sponsors, and I think Shane had to leave, but he wanted us to make sure to clarify for the people that are new to watching these shows with us. When we say sponsor, it means that we're bringing up usually plants and animals that are special in one way or another. So they might be a golden animal, rainbow animal. They might be, like this case, Lazarus species, and lots of different reasons that we would say that they're our sponsor for our show, because they're very special to us, and it feels like they're encouraging us. That's what it means for me, that they're showing us this stuff's happening. Like, do you guys remember me? I'm back from extinction, or now I'm gold, or I'm a giant rainbow squirrel, or a golden flower, or a see-through glass flower, or all sorts of things. So it's quite remarkable.
So many that we've covered over the years, absolutely. And you guys know I've got a very, very soft spot in my heart for Lazarus animals. This has been my thing for years, since the beginning of the Mandela Effect. It was fascinating to me that there's so many animals coming back onto the timeline. And it's something I've followed, and we followed here at IMEC for many years now. So what do we have here, Cynthia?
Well, we've got a cottontail rabbit that's not been seen until, well, now it's been seen, but prior to this year, it had been missing since 1904. That's more than 120 years gone. It's back in Mexico's Sierra Madre del Sur Mountains. And I don't know how to pronounce it, Omiltermi, or probably
as good as I would have done.
Okay. I'm not going to try the Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, but it looks like Vegas something. Anyway, it's basically a nocturnal rabbit, so it comes out at night. It's usually in the forests, and it's up to a certain altitude, like I guess around 14 or 1,500 feet. Anyway, these have been spotted. It's much more than just one or two. It looks like a complete bunch of these rabbits, and Here they are. And I think when we see this, often we read into it, what does this signify for us? What's going on with this particular animal? And Chris, you're so good at this sometimes. If you have anything you want to share on this one, that would be great.
I don't really have anything to share on this one.
Okay. Well, when I was looking at my theme for my newsletter, fight or flight or freeze, rabbit came to mind, because rabbits, they're famous for fight, and not for fight, but more for flight or freeze. We don't usually think of them fighting, but there is a time that a rabbit chased and attacked President Jimmy Carter when he was fishing at his lake. And fortunately for him, the press was there because he had his Secret Service there. So they filmed it. Otherwise, nobody would believe that a rabbit was attacking the President of the United States. He splashed water from his oar and chased it away. So for me, the rabbit, its return, it's just to show us we don't need to fight. We don't need to flee. We can get into the freeze state, which then can evolve into a flow state. And it's kind of like whatever it may look like, even if a rabbit's been gone and extinct, whatever your life may look like, don't worry about it, because reality can and does change. And if you keep asking questions you want to live the answer to, and just stay in place for a moment. I hear from people when they talk to me, they say, I froze, and then it was really weird. It's like I was all frozen, paralyzed, and then I got into that flow state and I wasn't even trying. And that can be true for all of us. And I think the rabbit's here to show that's what we did. That's why we're back. And you can do it too.
I think is hope. I really, and it goes along with exactly what you were saying there. To me, this is a symbol of hope.
Yeah.
The symbol of spring really has always been the rabbit, the symbol of rebirth, of multi-birth, a symbol of hope that things are changing and getting better for all of us, no matter how bad it may look at the time.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think hope is perfect. And it's kind of the opposite from just nihilism and, just getting into that cynical, skeptical funk. So we can pull ourselves out of it, and you can do it. Just slow everything down to a stop, but don't stay in the stillness, because remember, that's the NPC dead end. Go into the stillness and come out again. Come out into the how good can it get for you with new colors, new life, new species, and new worlds.
And I think the next slide is even more fascinating.
Oh gosh, yes.
The next slide really, like, I had never seen this. Yeah.
Yes.
The sleeping rose mantis.
That's right. And I think we've covered something that was nothing like this. We saw some kind of mantis, but we've got videos, and the photos don't even do it justice. This is why we have so many videos today, because we had to go to the videos. So we'll hope that these work.
Trust a rose again.
It starts off like the bud, right? It's opening like it would open during the day. Clever.
This is a praying mantis. It's a praying mantis that looks like a rose.
What?
I know. And there's another one. You can really see it's a praying mantis. Or is it?
Yeah, that is incredible.
That is alien.
Beautiful, but deadly.
It is one of the,
if you're an insect.
Now, this is one of the, if you look into reading into this, what does this mean? Some of the species, the root species that are recognized as being aliens associated with Earth would be a mantis, kind of an alien, not the praying mantis like these. But I think that maybe there's a connection with, they're considered architect species. So the mantis, I think they're an architect of reality. I think they're here with humans to show us what's possible. And so I think a lot of people have bug phobias. I think they're frightened if they see spiders, where a lot of people are frightened of, I think praying mantises, because they look scary and they're predatory. So I think that this is a message. It seems like a peace message. I don't think of it as deceptive. I know people might say, well, that's deceptive, and now it can attack its prey. But to me, it looks beautiful. And it looks like it's almost showing like I can be much more than what I look like, and look deeper. And I think it's also inviting us to ask, how good can it get for us, for them, just to rise above fight or flight, get out of the whole predator prey thing, and get to a new level. Again,
Officially looking, this does say that it's fake, that it's AI.
Oh, is it?
That's what it's saying. The official story right now is that it's AI generated. Now, with that said, we have seen a lot of things that have started out as AI generated or as myths or as even cartoons and things like that have absolutely become reality within a certain number of time.
Like that animal, the liger that showed up in that movie, Napoleon Dynamite. And he drew a combination of a lion and a tiger. He called it a liger. And I think Eva from Once Upon a Timeline, she was, I think, I don't know if she did a special on this, but showed like, okay, the liger is real now. And it was one of many things that Eva has tracked where it starts out like a sketch or a joke. And then next thing you know, it's in reality. So you're right. So I didn't know if this is what's interesting now about IMEC and what we've been doing. We have reached a point where AI is pretty convincing, and it's going to be harder and harder to know, what's fake, what's been created. But like you're saying, Jerry, as soon as we see something that looks fake 1 minute, the next we may see it created. So,
and we have seen that over. And Eva, as you mentioned, once again, she's been the one that's really followed a lot of these things that were myth, that were legend, that were fake, that were not real, that now they're absolutely real. Then they found one. Now, here's something else fascinating about this. Not only do they come into the timeline once they've been perceived of, but then you see, oh, there was just one of them. And a couple months later, oh, there was a small group of them. And a couple months later, oh, we've known about them since the 1800s. It seems to work its way backwards into our timeline. So I'm going to mark it here. I think these things it is AI generation. We did get tricked, ladies and gentlemen. I will admit that. I think we're going to see this come into reality.
Right. So we're just saying, stay tuned and look for it in reality. And it's probably going to show up. Thanks. I'm glad that they caught that real time, though. That's good to get it right here in the show. So thanks for pointing that out.
We're definitely not trying to deceive anybody. That is the last thing we want to do.
Yeah, it's getting harder, though.
That it is. How about our next one? We have one more sponsor, I believe.
Yep, it's our last one.
Glass goby larvae, or sea owls, are transparent to elude predators. They grow with photophores, to attract the plankton that they feed on. We have a video for this too, I do believe. Aren't they adorable?
So cute.
I don't think these are AI.
No,
pretty sure they're not.
It helps that we actually have the the family and genus and species and all that here, so we got an actual name for it. But back to there are praying mantises that morph a little bit, but I think they don't look like those roses. They usually look more like leaves. So I think that's where the AI came in. When I was looking into it, it looked like there were lots of species for them. So it is interesting. This one really is the larva. So it's like when these are young, they look like little owls. And I don't remember ever seeing fish that look like owls before. So it's cute and it's new for me.
Definitely new for me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Want to add anything, Chris, before we move along?
No, I think this is just one of those things too, where I'm not often diving off the waters of California, so I've never heard of them before. So, is it totally new on the timeline? I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. But you would think they're so cute and adorable. We might have heard about them at some point, but
right.
Yeah, fascinating.
But they are larvae, so that tracks.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now let's move on in to our mailbag. I do believe we have coming up.
That's right.
Yes, I am right. It is the mailbag. Questions and comments from you guys that you guys have submitted under the different videos over on the International Mandela Effect channel. Let's go ahead with the first one. Anyone remember Jaws quote starting with "I think"?
Oh yeah. This was like
Yeah.
a catch. This is one of the catchphrases from the original Jaws movie.
I think we're going to need a bigger boat. I think you're going to need a bigger boat.
This is the one where, it's which way do people remember it? And maybe that's what they're asking here. I remember. I think we're going to
with
need.
I think is I think what they're asking. Do you remember starting with I think? Now I haven't watched it recently. I don't know if it does or not. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I'll say what it is. So like I always remember it being, I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
And now it's always been, I think you're going to need a bigger boat.
Right.
Talking to the person, I think that was the captain of the ship. So yeah, to me that was totally different from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope the I think is on there. I hope he doesn't just go, you're going to need a bigger boat. I do remember, I think we're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
And apparently our audience does too. Next. Excellent. Has anyone looked back at previous episodes to see if the handlebars were on the JFK car? I'm remembering an episode about the back spare tire and don't recall the handlebars. Chris, I think this is up your alley.
They're there. They've always been there, including like the steps so that you could like jump up on the car and hold on to the handlebars as well. So you got handlebars, you got the steps, you got the big tire on the back. Yeah, they're all in the photos now. So
this was from Sarah Lovejoy. If you go to the next slide, Heather, then we get a response to that. Yeah, now this is saying what Chris
in the
is saying.
Stim Witches episode. I looked at minute 46:21. You can see the limo and one of the handles is visible. I don't remember it being there before, but it's definitely there now. This is from Shania Lindell, 72:21.
Now that's interesting. So it's like it's kind of like it's changed, like the video changed. It'd be interesting to hear in the chat if anyone else remembers that too. If you watched the Stemmons Witches episode, if you remember, were the steps there? Were the handles there? I don't know what they're saying in the chat. But,
the chat is saying, Sherry D says originally not, but they appeared for a while and vanished, and now they're back.
Oh my
so
gosh.
apparently this is flippity floppity flippity floppity.
Nice. Very cool. Anybody else? Yeah.
Be Real Tutu says that's definitely changed. It was it was weird now it's sure. So that was back in the other one. Weird now it's sure. There are 2 shooting stars that actually occurred during the filming of Jaws. Now that's fascinating. See if we have anybody else talk. We don't have really anybody else speaking about the JFK one. I think we're going to need a bigger boat, says Darren Carney. Sherry D above that, we're going to need a bigger boat. So yeah, everybody seems to be in agreement that we're going to need a bigger boat. And the JFK handles are doing flippity floppities.
Yep.
So our next one is a 2-part question. So let's go ahead with the first part. Have you guys heard of the Baron Trump collection? Yes, actually I have. Apparently this 3-book set was written by Ingersoll Lockwood in 1890. Let's see by Ingersoll Lockwood in 1890. Try to do the Trump hands. Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and his wonderful dog Bulger. Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, and The Last President. Now, this was from Gina Marie 375. Let's go to the next slide because it carries on. It's about a wealthy boy who lives in Trump Castle. He embarks on time-traveling adventures through human history. His mentor, who guides him through his strange journeys, is named Don. There are references to a hotel on Fifth Avenue, New York, an election of an outside candidate ensuing in chaotic atmosphere. Seems like an ME. So have you guys heard of this series of books by Ingersoll Lockwood, first off?
Just recently, just in the last couple of years. Before that, it seemed like it just popped into reality. I had not heard about it back when Trump was president. Did you hear about it in first?
I did.
You did. So 2016. Okay. Interesting. But did it seem like it popped in? I mean, it's weird. It seems definitely significant. Like there's a time traveling element to it, and that falls. I think of Chris with timeline wars and all the stuff going on with time travel cops and everything.
This is definitely right up his alley. What do you got for us, Bubba?
Yeah, so I don't really know much about these books. I haven't read them. I did hear about them maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So definitely, does someone have access to, I'll call it future scripts? Because the way the world, the things that are happening in the world, I view it as like there's script writers actually that are pushing the global narrative into different directions. Same thing, same concept with The Simpsons. Did they predict the future, or did they have access to seeing future timelines? And then they wrote about it. So besides that, I really don't know much about that, but I find it, like everyone else, very fascinating. Like, what could this possibly mean? Could time be malleable? Could you actually time travel or get access to future times? So
Sherry D brings up a very important point that I agree with. The Little Baron book and The Last President were the ones that we had in 2018. There were 2. There were not 3. There were 2.
What? So there's been a change in the last few. Oh my gosh.
Yes, Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger. That's new.
That's new. Oh, and now it's always written since 1890.
It was Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and The Last President.
Oh, wow.
Those were the 2 books.
And now there's a new book that's always been there. And is that, if anybody knows if that's AI generated, put that in the chat. Because now we've got this whole other factor at work.
Right.
Like, did someone create something and make it look like it's old? Oh.
This is interesting. And considering who it's about, the characters in the book, I should say, Barron, Don, Trump, all these things being used within this book. It also being called The Last President is the last book. I mean, it's really, really fascinating, the tie-ins, which is why, once again, I heard about it in 2016 because there was a lot of chatter on the underground.
Wait, is The Last President the second book? You said
the last book. It was the second book. Yes, it was Baron's Underground Journey and The Last President. Were the
now there's a third book. A new last book has come in.
It was a prequel. The third one is a prequel.
Oh. But you guys haven't heard of that one before. No. Okay. Interesting. That is really interesting.
I was sharing. There were 2 of them. I don't remember there being 3. So this is absolutely fascinating. Sherry D goes on to say, even the sketches look like Trump and Barron in the book.
Whoa. And the new book is about Barron. So it's the
Barron and His Wonderful Dog Bulger.
That's the new book, the third one.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to catch up.
The one that's arrived on our timeline, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Alfonso says he hadn't heard of the third book either. It was only 2 books for me until this minute, says Ann Gaynor. So we're not alone, Sherry. We're not completely crazy, at least.
I'm looking it up on the Global Narratives Wikipedia page, and it says there are only two novels.
There are only 2 novels.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the 2?
The Marvelous Underground, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. And it's not making clear Wikipedia is not saying what the name of the other book is.
It's The Last President. I can validate that one.
Okay.
So this came from a question on our video. Somebody claiming there was a third book, to be fair.
Right.
I just want to point that out. That's fascinating. I hope we don't get a third one now.
So there's just 2 of them. Okay.
Well, you know what? If you type into like Google, Google, how many Baron Trump novels?
Yeah.
The AI says there are 3 Baron Trump novels by Ingersoll Lockwood. Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger, written in 1889. Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, written in 1893. And there's a lot of stuff going on with the underground and underground cities. That's another topic for discussion. Right. Yeah. And then 1900, The Last President.
It is legit a third book, ladies and gentlemen. It is from 1900. It is legit a third book. Sherry, I just looked it up too. We both validated independently. This is a real book. They were right. The questioner was absolutely right.
Yes. So I want to say too, just like the answer that I'm getting here is from the AI. And I've been finding some really weird things that the AI is telling people. Like, for example, the Fruit Loops change from FROOT or FRUIT to FROOT. The AI will now tell you that there was a lawsuit and Kellogg's was forced to change the name because there's no fruit inside of it. But then when you go back and you research it back to 1963, you can see the boxes that say FROOT.
Right.
So the whole thing is to be cautious because I don't know what do we trust? What do we don't trust?
Well, outside of the AI, Chris, I've looked it up on a couple book vendors.
Okay.
And it is legit.
So there you go. We got 3 novels now.
Sherry D says she found the collection book that has all 3 books in it. So this is legit. There is a third book, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
There is a third book that is brand new to me. Absolutely brand new. And apparently a lot of us here in the chat is brand new too. Nicola Australia with $7.99 Australian says, just want to thank you all for this show since for 5+ years. So privileged I woke early morning in Oz to hear your voices again, to share some timeline.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nicola. Yes.
And if anybody has any questions for us, they can put them. They may have asked along the way, but if you got a question, you can drop it in there.
We do have 4 that we've picked up along the way.
Got it. Okay.
So before I ask the first question, I do want to reiterate for those who were not here at the beginning of the episode. This has been an incredible journey for the past 5 to 7 years, depending how you count it. We became a 501c3 5 years ago. Universe has divinely inspired this group and divinely guided each one of us and all of us together to what we have been doing. And Universe has recently let us know that our mission as IMEC itself has come to an end. The International Mandela Effect Conference, as a 501c3 organization, we are going to start winding this down. Life is taking us all in different directions right now. There's a number of reasons that have led into this. We discussed it more earlier in the episode if you want to go back and see that. But it's been an amazing journey. It's been an incredible mission that Universe put us on, and I'm glad to have been a worker for Universe in these last 5 years with the most amazing team of people that I've ever worked with in my entire life. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. I had to tell you guys, I know, Cynthia, I'm doing my best not to, too. I had to bring that up to introduce our next question. Omega Spark says, so no 2025 conference? Unfortunately, Universe has decided that will not be happening. We appreciate our community so very much. Like I said, for those who haven't been here earlier, we appreciate all of you guys. We thank you guys for all the love and support you showed us. It's been incredibly, incredibly amazing. But we go where Universe sends us. We all walk by Universe, and Universe has decided that this mission has come to an end as a group. Now, with that said, we're still an incredible group of friends, a very, very tight group of friends. I dare call us family. And this will not be the last you hear of us as a group. It will be the last as a organization, a 501c3 organization. So just to be very, very clear, we're not going nowhere, guys. We as a group and as a team, even though we won't be the team that we are, we're still a group of friends and family that are just so very tight. There's no way that we could ever give this up. But unfortunately, there will be no 2025 conference. I don't even know what to say. I hate to say it. Next question, also from Omega Spark. How can there still be folks who believe that we're alone in our solar system? Or in our universe, for that matter? I won't say solar system. I'm going to leave that kind of ambiguous. But in the universe, there ain't no way. Absolutely, without question. There's no way we're the only living creatures here. I'll never buy it. Not for a second. What about you, Cynthia?
Oh, yeah, it's obvious. Well, I've had too many personal experiences otherwise. So obviously, to me, it's impossible for me to conceive that humans are all there is. It doesn't make any sense based on personal experience. Therefore, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I think people who believe that, or they're like the ones who believe the Mandela effect is misremembering. They just haven't yet had the experience. And we at IMEC for our 5-year mission, I said at the beginning, we're like Star Trek. We've been together for 5 years as the nonprofit, and just like Star Trek, our mission was to explore new Mandela effect worlds and to seek out new life, new civilizations of reality and consciousness. And we've been doing a great job. And I think we've gotten ourselves to the point where it's about to explode. I think we're leaving the materialism and going into what some people call an ontology of consciousness. So there's something foundational beneath the reality. And so back to the question, how can there still be folks who believe that? That's where they are right now. And so I don't know. It's odd to me. They're not thinking. They're not open to receiving intuitive information. They're like we are. I think most of us are getting insights. We're listening. We're growing. We're not the same as we were 5 years ago. We've grown, and I think you guys have grown along with us. And so for those of us who are growing, we're on a different trajectory. And people that still believe we're alone in the solar system, they're not. And I think it's just that way. They're not less than. They're not worse. They're living differently, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I'll just add too. This episode is from season 5, episode 5, 2 5s. Before the show, we were talking about that, and I think Heather was mentioning that. What did the number 5 represent? Change, and chaos. So, everyone should be prepared for a little chaos with their change, or maybe a lot of chaos, depending on who you are and what you're doing. But yeah, I think it's almost like appropriate too that we ended on a 5-5 to indicate the change.
Again, universe divinely timed. There's no way around it. This is another instance where universe is signaling that this is what must be done.
And we're actually listening to that. It breaks our hearts, but it's not something that I would want to do, to say like, this is it. But you know when it's happening, like this is the right thing to do. And it's important to honor that. So we're embodying that and we're walking our talk here. When you get something and it's clear, then it's important to follow that inspiration.
Absolutely. It's been an incredible journey. It's been an incredible mission these 5 years, 7 years, however long we had 5 years as an organization. We actually started in 2019 as just a group of friends coming together to discuss the Mandela Effect. So we've really, really grown, all of us in different ways, and Universe will continue to grow as each. It's something that I couldn't be more proud to be a part of. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this will be our last official live stream. With that said, there will be some more videos coming out that will be pre-recorded videos. So the team isn't over. We're still friends. We're still amazing, close friends and family. Like I keep saying it, but that we are. I've never been a part of a team so amazing in my entire life. It's been an incredible experience for me, and one that I'm very, very thankful to have been a part of. So, and the audience, you guys, the community, you guys have been absolutely incredible and amazing and supportive and more than we could have ever dreamed of. So thank you all so much for that. And for everybody being here today, we really sincerely appreciate it. We've got one more question, again from Omega Spark. Is the Dark Knight satellite still orbiting Earth? I haven't heard about that in a while.
I haven't heard anything about it recently. Maybe it's gone in stealth mode with these other ones showing up, like this new one around the Earth.
I think that it may be. And when I was tuning into that, I was getting Anunnaki. And I also believe there are actually satellites up there from Atlantis that are still there. So, yeah, all very fascinating subjects about what's going on.
And tracking along with that, we didn't put it in our show because it's not finalized, but there are astronomers looking for the so-called 9th planet, which has it revolves around the sun every 10 to 20,000 years, which would put it on the same cycle as the so-called disaster cycle on the Earth or the Anunnaki cycle. So this ninth planet, they keep saying we've almost found it, and that was this month they were saying that. So
really,
yeah. So nothing definitive. It's just all it's hyperbola. But we know for sure that ninth planet is out there, and so stay tuned. We'll probably find that this year too. Like all these big things are happening together, and I think it's showtime. It's I get the same vibe from that as we do with these other, like with the Dark Knight and this another Oumuamua, the stealth visitor that's going around the Earth right now.
It looks like we've got 2 more questions that have come in.
Okay.
Lizbeth says, if we shift to higher vibrations or jump dimensions, would we notice if our family and world matched our new frequency? Do people really disappear or just exist in different realities? So we got 2 questions here. First, would we notice if our family and world matched our new frequency?
That's a tricky one. It's really interesting because a lot of us have family and friends or neighbors that are not quite on the same frequency that we are. So do they match? That's a tough question for me. I don't even have an answer for that one. Sometimes I feel like, well, that's not a match, but clearly it is if they're in the same reality. So I guess, and when I talk to my guidance about it, they say that there have been great changes and great growth in even people that look like they're not necessarily changing. So that's encouraging. As far as do people really disappear? I've literally seen that with my own eyes. I've witnessed it. It's usually not someone close to me. It's usually a stranger walking toward me, and then they're poof, like gone. Like they just sort of fade, and they were there and now they're not. Or an entire vehicle with a person completely vanish. It's like, it's really strange. So I've seen that. But yeah, the first question, I don't know. What do you think, guys?
I was going to say, this reminds me of a movie that came out maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And the concept of the movie was that people would disappear from the reality. And the woman in the movie, she was married to this man, and they had a child. And all of a sudden that child was gone. The child just disappeared. And so she was trying to figure out what was going on, but then she couldn't find any photos of the child anymore. Like the child didn't exist. And then her husband that she was married to, she wound up like he wasn't around anymore. And then she ran into him, and he was like a stranger. And he's like, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know who you are." And she's like, "You're my husband. We've been married. We had a child." So for some people, when people start disappearing out of your reality, you may not actually have a memory that they ever existed, which means it would eliminate sadness and it would eliminate other things. But imagine if that were to happen, if people just started disappearing, but you didn't even realize it disappeared. So you actually had no knowledge of them, except in this particular movie, she remembered her son. And I think at the end, it was something, he was in another timeline, or they somehow pieced it together like that. So again, just more clues to what could be happening. You might remember certain people, and then you might find that there's nothing you can find that person ever existed. So that's another thing to just keep in mind as a possibility for the future.
There was a book, The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin, and made into a movie. And it's kind of a similar thing where this person would dream, and then people and things would keep changing. So there'd be massive epic shifts, and it's possible we're moving into that direction. But the questioner, I think the question's getting at the heart of, are the people okay when they vanish? Where are they going? And to me, it looks like they're in another reality. So it's not matching your vibration, and that's okay. So
I would agree with that. So if we shift to higher vibrations or jump dimensions, would we notice if our family and world matched our new frequencies? So I think we would notice. I don't think it's the family that would make us notice. I honestly, I think that would be seamless. I think you wouldn't even realize anything until certain Mandela Effects started popping up, or certain things that aren't quite what you remember. That's my opinion. I could be 100% wrong. That's my opinion. But I really believe our family would be the version of them in that timeline, in that reality, in that dimension, if you will.
I agree. And Chris was going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was looking at the comments, and Sherry D says the movie was called The Forgotten. And that's right. The movie was called The Forgotten. It came out like in 2004.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Fascinating. I've got to go watch that.
Yeah.
Dark Horse did show. I can't believe I woke up and did not miss the last show. I saw the first IMEC and the last. That's fascinating. Thank you, Nicola, Australia. That's awesome. To the second part of this question, do people really disappear or exist in a different reality? I'm going to say exist in a different reality. I'm going to go with that. How, why, I don't know. I don't have those answers. But to that question, I would say I think they would disappear from this reality and exist in another. And perhaps, as Chris said, perhaps the memory of them and everything would be wiped from this reality. It's a good possibility if that's the way we see the ME work. It's very, very likely that would be the case.
But sometimes there's reality residue. When you've got that coherence and that connection, anybody cares, then you've got a little bit of reality residue that can pop up, and there can be someone that says, but I remember that fruit of the loom cornucopia, and and I remember IMEC. So, they keep it alive.
And last question, I do believe, as I personally am really running out of time. Omega Spark says, so would the t-shirts become more valuable now?
Collector's items.
Yeah.
They will. There will be no more of them made. So yeah, they're going to be extremely valuable now.
Yep.
Yeah. And so if anyone would like a t-shirt, reach out to Jerry, because you might have a few extras.
I do have a few extras. Yes, sir. Let me know your size. We've got a little bit of every size right now. I've got them in storage at the moment. They're safe in storage, clean, and good to go. So we also have stickers, I do believe. Contact us if you want to get some merch, ladies and gentlemen. I definitely have those. We'll discuss going forward how we're going to do that, whether it'll be charging or we're just going to start handing them out to the community. I'm not sure yet what that decision is. So we haven't discussed it. So go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say too, so for those of you that are our Patreons, what we're doing is we're changing all of the Patreons to 0.
Yes.
So you'll be able to stay a Patreon if you want to, because we may post things, or you may want to look back at some of the green room content that we have, but we're making it so that you should not be billed for June. So keep that in mind, just kind of like housekeeping. So all the Patreons should go to 0. If you find a problem with that, I think Heather was going to do that tomorrow. If you see an issue, just let us know and we'll correct it for you.
That would open it to everybody, right? To anybody to come in and watch it free. Is that correct?
Theoretically, if anybody wanted to come in and see the green room videos, yes.
Excellent. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Chris, Cynthia.
Oh, we're just like Star Trek that way too. Like the series ends and we're stronger than ever before. So
absolutely.
Yeah. How good can it get?
I want to thank everybody. Thank you for IMEC. Thank you, IMEC, for giving us a lot to think about over the last 5 years as Omega Spark.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you all. We really appreciate you so much. And I've never been to events that I've loved as much as these in-person events that we've had. Sun Valley, Connecticut, Nashville. They're the high points of everything I've ever been to. So thank you guys for making that possible, making it happen. There's nobody like you, and we love you so, so much. So thank you.
I couldn't echo enough exactly what you just said. This community has been so supportive, so amazing, so absolutely wonderful in every way. We've grown so very much. We've got Shane in the chat with us. Shane has done an amazing job on the team too. We've grown so very much over these last 5 years. We've had an amazing mission. I'm glad to have been a part of this team. The universe has used us all to accomplish things that, I'll be honest, before 2019, I never thought was possible. I never thought I'd be in this position. I never thought I'd have this team. I never thought any of this was actually possible. And we've accomplished more in the last 5 years than I could have ever dreamed of it being. So I'm proud of it. I'm glad to have had this amazing team. I'm glad to have this amazing community. And the only thing ending is the 501c3 status. IMEC as an organization is ending. We're winding it down. With that said, we're not going nowhere, folks.
we're expanding, we're growing, but we'll still be around. Hopefully, we love you so much.
Absolutely, we got more stuff planned in the future together as a group of friends who are very, very passionate about the Mandela Effect. Yeah. Chris, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would add the famous song, "Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Dream on, dream until your dreams come true."
Yeah, how good can it get? And we love you.
I love you guys, and I love this community. On behalf of Cynthia Sue Larson, Christopher Anatra, Cynthia Sue Larson of realityshifters.com.
Yes.
Christopher Anatra, you know him as the Quantum Businessman. And on behalf of Shane Robinson, Unbiased and on the Fence, I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf. And this has been the International Mandela Effect Conference. Thank you all so very much from the bottom of our hearts. Signing off.
And together we go.
Together
we grow.
Grow.
Woo! Let's do it. Love you guys.
Signing off.